Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Unboxed. But before we get into the episode, I want to talk about our brilliant sponsor, Komi. I recently discovered Komi on Lizzo, Addison Rae, and Idris Elba's socials. So I asked the team to get in touch to see what they were up to because what they are doing is truly groundbreaking. What's apparent at Komi is that they fundamentally understand the creator space and are passionate about enabling creators to achieve their best results online. Komi empowers creators, music artists, and influencers to build a fully personalized landing page, acting as a website and link in bio. Komi provides you with an easy-to-use drag-and-drop tool that makes it easy for you to build a fully personalized hub in under 5 minutes. Check out unboxed.komi.io as an example, or Gwen Stefani's or Idris Elba's. It also allows you to share content with your viewers, which they may not have seen. If you're posting a YouTube video, they may not have seen your book or your gigs or any other thing that you might want to promote. So all of it's in one place. It's very simple. It is the link in bio 2.0, and I'm so excited for you to check it out. Later on in the series, you'll hear from Lewis and Ben, the two co-founders of Komi, to see their meteoric rise to date and how they've managed to onboard creators with over 1 billion followers between them in just under a year. That is staggering. In the meantime, if you want to check out Komi and see how it looks in action, head to my account or Lizzo's or Addison Rae's to see how it really works. It is a brilliant platform that I couldn't recommend highly enough. So if you really want to elevate your link in bio game, then head to komi.io for more to see how you can join up all of the content in your world into one central place. Brandon, welcome to Unboxed, my friend. It's been a long time. So tell us about your story. Where did you start? Obviously, we met during your time with Woody and Kleiny. So how did you enter their world, which is also an absolute rocket ship and has been for a number of years? And then how do we get from there to now where you have your own brand, your own incredible lane, and you're killing it on a number of levels? Don't let me tell you that, but you're doing an unbelievable job, mate.
I really appreciate it.
So yeah, tell us that story.
Yeah, so story kicks off with me working at a TV production company. I worked there for 4 years, absolutely loved it. And it's where I really got to learn how.
I never knew that, you know.
Yeah, so background is traditional. So I started in the traditional space.
It makes sense.
That's how I learned how sort of production companies run and sort of the way things work as far as like creating content on a professional level.
What was the company out of interest?
It's called Sassy Films.
Okay.
Yeah, so I loved working there. The incredible thing about that company is because it was a slightly smaller production company, you were able to progress so quickly. So I started there when I was like 16, and by my 4th year of working there, I'd been promoted to a camera operator. So I was getting flown all around the world, shooting these like awesome adverts. And whilst I was shooting, I met these two guys called Woody and Kleiny who came in. And when the first time I met them, I was like gobsmacked. I couldn't believe it because these guys had built up a following of 50,000 followers online. And I was like, oh my God, 50,000 followers. I couldn't believe it.
What year was this?
I can't remember what year, but I must have been about 18 at the time. So when I met them, I was like, hey guys, I'll shoot all of your content for you for free. I was like, I don't want money. I literally just want to be creating YouTube videos with you. And eventually we actually teamed up and I started working with them full time and I became their in-house producer and director. And we had this like incredible stretch for, I think it was like 4 or 5 years where we just made this like incredibly awesome and fun and wholesome and most importantly, viral content. Where my story started slowing down with them was during the first lockdown, as COVID kicked off, we couldn't carry on creating content together. So I had to, I didn't want to just sit there and do nothing. I remember jumping on calls with them and saying, we can still make videos together. Let's just jump on Zoom and we can make like Zoom videos and all the ideas.
Just not the same on
they
Zoom,
were just like naff. And essentially we came to the realization, it was just like, if we're going to do something together, we're going to wait until we can actually be face to face. So I thought, you know what? During this lockdown period, instead of just sitting around and doing nothing, why don't I just create my own fun videos? And a passion that I had way before I even started working was making visual effect videos. So that was something I started doing when I was like 12 years old, teaching myself software. And I used to make all these little tricks and I'd show my friends and family. They would always like, oh, wow, how'd you do it?
Did you completely self-teach yourself on YouTube
Self-taught
and stuff?
Everything from YouTube. Never learned anything traditionally. Everything was from YouTube. So I was like, you know what, let me revitalize this old skill I've got of creating visual effect videos. So started making visual effect videos in my bedroom. I remember making a pact with myself because I knew I couldn't carry on filming with the boys until lockdown was done. So I said, you know what, I'm going to make a brand new video online every single day until lockdown was over. And originally we thought lockdown was going to be 3 weeks.
That's a lot of videos.
Yeah, but 3 weeks turned into 3 months.
Yeah.
And by the end of that 3-month period of lockdown, I'd left with 1 million followers. And it was at that point I was like, wow, there's something in this, like creating these cool visual effect videos. It's something that not only I'm interested in, but there's an audience of people out there that want to consume it as well.
But also just on that, so TikTok at the time wasn't the home of visual effects videos really, or videos that were pushing out sort of different strands. At that time, I remember mainly trend-based, mainly dance-based. It was real kind of Musically 2.0 rather than the TikTok we know now. So you were sort of bringing your skill set and doing what I think so many others should do, right? When you've got that real technical ability and skill, which you've taught yourself, bringing that out and being confident to put that out on a platform which doesn't have an abundance of that content on there already, right? And that then meant that you stood out.
Oh no, definitely. I remember when I was started uploading to TikTok, I couldn't even get my friends to watch the content I was making because no one wanted to download TikTok. It was a crime. And I would say it's also the type of content you needed to make to go viral on TikTok back in the day was definitely a lot simpler to what it is now. So the bar has raised a lot higher on TikTok as more and more creative and better creators have come to TikTok, obviously. So at the start, when there wasn't that many people in the talent pool, you could pretty much post anything and it would go viral. Like some of my videos at the time, I was posting nothingness and it would still get like 5 million views. And I was like, oh, brilliant,
I'll take it.
Easy. Whereas now that stuff would instantly flop. But that's just because of it's so much more saturated now. There are so many more people on the platform.
And the quality just has to go up and up and up. Exactly. So how do you keep up?
One of the things you need to be very aware of in the social space is how quickly it evolves. What works for you today won't work tomorrow, and you need to consistently, change your ideas, look at the space, and work out how you can adapt and keep evolving as a creator. Whether that's you're looking at trends and seeing what the trends are saying, or looking at the way content's being shot and the style of video. Whether it's just going through a little history timeline, CCTV videos were really big a year ago. Then after that, point of view videos came in really big, and there will always be that one big thing that is like a trend at the moment, or a style of video that's doing really well. So as a creator, you always need to be aware of those things so you can move into those directions.
And I think your time with Woody and Kleiny, right, from obviously knowing you then, and the rate of growth and the way that I remember you as a team was so kind of creatively relentless and so focused on trends. And they kind of led a lot of that, right, in terms of being like, right, we need to be on point every single day, every week with what's coming, what's next. And I think I can see some of that energy obviously informed how you were with them and now how you are independently, right?
No, those boys are my mentors, my heroes. They have taught me everything. They are incredible creatives and creators. The way they think about how they construct content and how they make their videos is what's inspired me to now today of how I make my videos, and the way they think and deconstruct everything to a T. Speaking to them about watching content is like being in a literature class, breaking down a poem or something. It's like everything can be broken down so much to a T to try and understand to every single degree why something went viral.
Every moment, every beat, every second has to be optimized and pop. And that's the bit I think a lot of people don't realize, right? When you're, going viral is as much a science as an art, isn't it?
No, 100%. And we've got like a formula, like a list that we stick to when we create content. If I have to give one top piece of advice within that formula for all creators to focus on, how do you get viral? You want that next viral video. What is that one thing you need to think about before every piece of content you create? And it's one simple thing, and it's focusing on your first frame. So back when we started creating YouTube content, we used to sit there and we'd go, let's make sure you really focus on the first 20 seconds of the video and really hook people. And then as YouTube got more and more saturated, it went, okay, now we need to hook people in the first 10 seconds. And then, of course, TikTok came about, Reels came about, and basically all these platforms started favoring short form content more and more. And that 5 seconds or 10 seconds then turned into 1 second. But now I think it's gone so far. And if you've got any young nieces or nephews in your life, if you watch how they consume content online, they don't even wait a full second before they flick onto the next video if they don't like it. They are consuming that very first frame of the video. And if they don't like how it looks, they're flicking onto the next one. So now when we create videos, we reverse engineer it. We will come up with the first frame of the video before we've thought of our concept, and then we build out our idea.
It is almost the same as with a YouTuber. You're speaking to, I remember Zach on the first episode, and we talk about thumbnails, right? And how important thumbnails are. And he uses AI to help construct his thumbnails to try and almost engineer the framing, because he'll spend just as much time on a thumbnail really as he does on the video. And he'll spend as much money on a thumbnail as he will on the video. And it's a sort of similar thing with what you're saying too on the short form, that you have to get that first frame exactly right. And if that isn't going to grab you, then it's not going to work. I think Mr. Beast as well, right? He reverse engineers thumbnails, where his thumbnails will be the inspiration for the video idea in a similar way. And I think to what you're saying, it has to be front of mind for creators now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess the first frame is the new thumbnail. That is how you're gripping your audience into your video. I watched that episode with Zach talking about the DALL-E model. I love DALL-E. It's the coolest tool in the world. OpenAI have like a fleet of AI tools that you can use, and they've also got this incredible one called GPT-3, and it's the largest language model in the world. And you can train the language model for your specific use cases. So internally in the studio, one of my guys created a model from this AI, and he managed to train it with all of our best performing videos of all time. We fed the data to the model of saying, this is essentially what a successful video is. This is a video that got lots of views. He fed all of that information to the model and then got this GPT-3 model to produce new script ideas for us.
It's amazing. Yeah. Has it worked?
It's given us lots of thought starters. We've nothing it's produced for us. We've gone, great, let's shoot it straight away. Yeah. But it's given us
jumping off point, right?
Yeah, exactly. We've shot videos off the back of where that's started us, essentially.
Wow. And how important do you think tech is going to become in automating the science part of the kind of creative process?
So I think creativity is this really interesting thing, because for so long, I think we were convinced that AI couldn't simulate creativity. That was a human thing until it could. Until it could do it better than humans. And I think it's this really interesting process right now where AI is improving rapidly. Like, it's so incredibly fast. So it's definitely something that me and definitely everyone at my studio is spending a lot of time into focusing and like working out where this technology is going. Because especially in our space within visual effects, there are so many ways we can use it as a tool to make our work way bigger and way better.
On that point, and I'll just slightly tangent off, as you said, around the time it takes, because the type of content you make is incredibly heavy in terms of editing, in terms of process. Just talk us through a little bit of that quickly, and then we'll get back onto shorts. But I just want to jump onto that as you said it, because I think people don't often understand, and because, as you said, right, there's such saturation on the platform, there's so many people producing great content, people are almost, I guess they take for granted the levels that it takes to produce something that seems so effortless.
I remember seeing an interview with Bella Porch. You know that really viral video of hers that went viral with her eyes going like left, right, up, down. I actually can't remember. Was it up, down, left, right? One of those songs. Yeah. And she did an interview after saying how that video took her 2 hours to make, and someone was reacting to it saying, I can't, like, fair play to her, real grind, spending 2 hours on that one video. And I was like, some more videos take 6 months to make. 2 hours.
I wish.
That sounds like a dream.
Honestly.
But yeah, for us, it is like we are creating production company level quality content. So ours has a full pipeline going from scripting to storyboards to set builds and prop builds, and then the production days. Sometimes it takes a week to shoot a single video, and then normally it can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months to edit a video, just because of how much detail there is in each and every shot we do.
Wow. And then was that informed? It must have been, right, by your time in the production company to begin with. And did they teach you a lot of those processes? And I guess that's something for a lot of creators to think about as well, right? That actually bringing in some of that corporate structure, that creative process, that can actually add quite a lot to your whole operation, right? And it's probably how you're able to do such brilliant work at such a high level so consistently.
I mean, I wish I could take all the credit for it. I've got the most incredible team in the world.
Which is the point.
Yeah, the team of people around me are invincible. They are some of the most creative and hardworking people ever. And is what enabled us to do so much in such a short period of time. One of my early hires was someone who I used to work at the production company with me, and we were great friends, and she was just incredible at what she does. So I brought her on, and she's now like a real core part of the team, and has been helping me shape this like production team beneath us, which has been like a really core element to everything. So yeah, I'd say one of the most important parts is like have a really good, strong team of people around you that have this shared vision and goal.
As you talk, right, one other thing that comes to my mind, and again, it's another pain point for a lot of people, is actually funding what you do, because this stuff ain't cheap. Building out good teams, you've hired 10 people, that's a lot of resource from a capital perspective. So how do you balance kind of monetization? How do you manage monetization? How do you, especially in short form where it's harder, right? TikTok doesn't have a robust monetization strategy. I guess shorts is coming, and that's really exciting. So how do you fund your team, your business? How do you look to do that going forward? And what's your kind of outlook, I guess, as a business in terms of growing and keeping that momentum up?
So I wouldn't have been able to have any of this scaled or growth that I've had without my managers. They're in the room with me.
Represent, shout out.
Represent the guys, Connect, big shout out.
Yeah.
Myra, Josh, Benji.
Yeah, amazing team.
Yeah, I genuinely wouldn't have been able to do any of it without them. They've connected me to literally the biggest brand partners in the world. I'm very lucky to say that there isn't a brand partner that I've wanted to work with that I haven't already. And they've sort of opened the right doors and they've started the right conversations and sort of allowed me to pick it up and make these like really awesome videos. The coolest activation for me is a video we created recently. So Josh connected us to the guys over at Pixar, and we started this relationship, and we said to them, like, you know, we'd love to create some social content for you. You know, let us create content that we can put on your pages. I don't have to be in it. It's not a Brandon B show. Let us make content for Pixar.
Traditionally, like white label content.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And they were like, "Cool, do it." So we created them a video. We sat around for ages, going, you know, what would be the biggest video we could possibly make for Pixar? And they were like, "You can choose any IP you want, take it away." Wow. We very quickly landed on Monsters Inc., a childhood favorite of mine, and we decided to recreate the scene from Monsters Inc. Do you remember the big warehouse scene with all the doors flying on the rails? We're like, let's recreate that entire scene, but as a 3D model. So every door, every rail, every wall, every glass panel, we recreated everything from scratch and rebuilt it ourselves. And then after that, we wanted to create a scene where when I'm in the warehouse scene, I jump out of a door, land in one of the doors in the warehouse scene, and then land in Boo's bedroom. So we got one of our set builders to rebuild Boo's bedroom in real life, one for one as a direct replica. But obviously, because that's a cartoon or an animation, none of the props and the set pieces that are in there are real. It's never been created. Someone's just drawn them. So we had to get a prop maker to individually make every single toy in her bedroom, every drawing on the wall. None of them exist in real life, from scratch again, just so it is a one-for-one replica. Wow. We gave that video to Pixar, and off of that one video that we created for them, it is the highest performing video on their page of all time.
I think there's a real lesson in all of this, right? Because that video probably cost the amount of money they would have paid you to produce.
Yeah, no, we lost money on that. Right. Yeah. We lost.
Exactly. So there's a real lesson in that as well, because now I'm sure the conversation with them from a long-term perspective, because you've gone, right, we need to produce, as you said, that first meeting isn't how do we produce the most cost-efficient or the most, profitable video for you. It's saying how do we produce the best video for them and make something that is going to be, 10 times better than anything they've seen before. And that conversation with Pixar the next time is so much easier. And actually for a long-term relationship, you've now built that. And I'm sure they could all go to in their meetings, right? And actually say, look at the video we just commissioned and look how well it's done. It's blowing everything out of the water. So yeah, there's definitely something in that, right? Around reinvesting, I think.
Yeah. As far as like a business goes, I run a terrible business. We are not in this for profit at all. Like everything is going back into the content. For me, the only goal is to create the biggest and best videos possible.
Why?
That's where I get my happiness from and my joy. I was doing what I do right now as a job, as my hobby in my spare time for fun. So the fact that somehow I've managed to make this my full-time job and bring in a team of creatives who are incredible at what they do to also help me do it, I'm living the dream.
So I just want to get your thoughts on shorts. How important do you think it is for the creator landscape, and how important has it been for you in terms of your personal trajectory? Because I think it's been quite significant, right?
Yeah, shorts is everything. I'm so lucky that I got to join the social space when I did. I started creating content in the Goldilocks period, which is insane. When you think there's like 66 or 65 million people in the UK, we're hitting almost 300 million views a month. It's like astronomical figures that none of us can comprehend. Where if you put your all into creating short form content, you committed to it for a solid year straight, you were guaranteed success. And to be honest, I still think we are there today. We're still within this Goldilocks period. If you are prepared to relentlessly create content twice a day, make the videos as big and as cool as you can, and you're receptive to the feedback and other pieces of content around you, then you will go viral. Simple formula. I was able to jump onto this short form train, put everything I can into it. We were producing daily videos because I was with visual effects. They took a lot of editing time. I wish we could post them twice a day. And we were just scaling them bigger and bigger. And off the back of it, we were hitting within the realm of consecutively 300 million views a month.
How important do you think shorts is in terms of the kind of the vertical short form landscape? How important has it been for you in terms of fueling your growth? And what does it mean to be a creator who is now on shorts, right? So powerful and one of the biggest in the UK. So what is that like?
Yeah, shorts is awesome. I think it's a superpower. I think everyone needs to be activating on shorts and sort of giving it 1,000%. We're launching this new show at the moment called This Interview or Self Destruct. And we are, even though this is a long form format, we are using shorts as the promotional tool for the show. So for every show that we're creating, it's quite a big show. So at the moment, we're only able to release one episode a month because it takes a lot of planning and a lot of building to go into it. It's like 8 weeks of work for each episode. So we can only at the moment maintain one a month. And it's also extremely expensive. So we, alongside every once a month upload, we are creating 60 short form pieces of content. So we can release twice a day a short form video, but all of that content promotes the show. Right. So it's viral pieces of content surrounding the show, things that were shot on the day of the set, things that were just things that feel like they are built around the episode, but all of that just goes in to promote shorts. So I think whether it is specifically what your goal is to be a shorts creator, or if you are a long form creator, but you want to promote yourself and push yourself out to a wider audience, use the superpower of shorts. Use it and abuse it. It won't be as good as it is now forever. Whilst all these platforms are giving it the most incredible push ever, use it as much as you can to sort of like jump up to where you're trying to get to.
And there's something again in that, right? How, to your point before, you said social moves really quickly. And anyone who's been in it a year, 2 years, 3 years, times it by like 5, 10. It's like cat years, right? Yeah. In reality. And you have to be so nimble to the algorithm shifts and the changes. Where do you think things are going to go next?
Oh, wow, what an incredible question. I mean, the obvious thing to speak about, if we're going to speak about the future, would be Metaverse. Meta flew me and Josh out to Egypt to sort of give us like a little behind the scenes look of where the Metaverse is going in the next 10 years. We got to speak to the regional director of Meta, and it blew my mind. It was one of the most fascinating conversations I've ever had in my life. And it's really, really interesting stuff from their perspective on the Metaverse. And one key factor that they did keep saying, which was quite nice to hear, is they don't, when we talk about the Metaverse, they're not talking about Meta, the company. They don't see themselves being the only player in the space, but they want to be the people that help build the platform so communities around can build it. With the Metaverse, it's going to completely change how we consume content, interact. And I think the main places we will sit within the Metaverse to start will be meeting up with people and interacting within a different form. You know, being able to have an avatar rather than having your actual self will get a lot of people into the Metaverse, and being able to go to live concerts and watch music and being able to work out, all these other like activities that won't take away from real life, but it will be like an addition. So you'll still do all these things in real life, but this will allow you to sort of get a different scope when potentially for whatever reason you can't go outside, but you can, and you do have time to do it within the Metaverse. So I don't think it's going to take away from reality, but I definitely think it's an addition. And all creators should sort of be like just screwed into being aware of where it is going and where these things are taking us. So when this does come about in 5 years and it is more mainstream, maybe 5-10 years as my sort of rough guide, you're not surprised, and you already have a game plan of how are you going to activate in that space, where will you sit within that ecosystem, so you're ready for it to come.
I guess, to your point, it's almost whatever winds are shaping the space, you have to be able to adjust those sails and be ready to go so that you're not left behind. And it's that thing of, as you said again about TikTok, so many creators are like, nah, TikTok's not for me. It's where the kids are. So you saw it as an opportunity with a big, ripe audience of heavily engaged people and not many others on there. So you could be that first mover. And I think what you're saying, and throughout this conversation, being a first mover is so important, isn't it?
Oh, 1,000%. That will make all the difference between, do you get the incredible head start? Can you push yourself all the way to the top of understanding it the best, the fastest, and then compared to the masses who will be joining it a little bit too late and sort of have to just join in line with everyone else.
Yeah. Here's a random question. What's your favorite video that you've ever made?
It was this really cool campaign we created for MetaQuest, the Oculus headset. And it was one where have you ever played Walk the Plank?
Was in like the real...
Yeah, on the Oculus Quest.
No.
So essentially it's this game where you walk a plank and it looks like you're actually there. And if you have a plank there in real life, it feels very realistic. Right. So we created almost like a cinematic version of that game where we built an elevator set. And as the doors opened, it went out into our green screen studio. We had an actual plank at the end of it that I walked off of. And the idea of the concept was we changed the green screen studio into the top of a skyscraper. And it essentially looks like the viewer who is watching this social media piece of content is walking off of this plank. And it looks terrifying.
Actually, yeah, it's amazing.
It's a really cool video. And it's hit like something like 180 million views, but on a branded piece of content, all organic.
So that was going to be the other thing I was going to say to you, right? Obviously knowing your content, following you, like the amount of like branded content you've had that just does bigger numbers than anyone would ever dream of in a lifetime for their organic content, never mind for branding. How do brands feel when they work with you? You must be like the most popular person ever to work with, right? Because you can authentically say, no, I'm investing so much into this and it will be amazing.
So I think that's how I've managed to establish like a really good relationship with my audience when it comes to creative branded content, because I reward my viewers because they know when they see a branded piece of content come up by me, it's always going to be a bigger and a better video.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. When we get brands on board, it means we're able to invest that budget into production to build huge sets, spend months and months on post-production and really scale it and make an awesome video. But that wouldn't be possible without the brand who's funding it. And in return, my audience get an incredible piece of content off the back of it. So it's a win-win for everyone. The brand's getting incredible exposure. I'm allowed to spend loads of money and time on this like little passion project and make it my little baby for a few months. And then my audience off the back of it get this really cool piece of content.
So everyone wins.
Everyone wins.
Yeah. And I guess for what you do as well, you need that funding to push those creative boundaries. So working with brands where for some creators it might take away from their AdSense revenue or their long form content, for you actually it is almost the fuel that gives you the opportunity to make bigger and better ideas, because it kind of, and also to have creative inspiration in terms of the brief that they're giving you to kind of drive the purpose of a video as well. So it works on every front, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We've got, hopefully I might get shouted out for saying this. I'm just seeing some eyeballs around the room. Our next big one is going to be for the Meta Quest Pro. Looking over there, see if I'm going to get shouted out. I think we're okay.
I'll be live by the time this goes up.
Great. So that's going to be our next humongous video. They brought out this like £1,500 headset. They want to go way bigger and way better, and we're taking on the challenge.
Amazing. Very much looking forward to that. So one last thing I want to talk to you about, and then we'll get into some future questions, is how you edit. So talk us through that. You just said you spend months. You can spend months on post-production. Like, I don't know of any other creator who puts that level of ambition into their edits, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that process, how it works, and how you can spend months on post-production? What tangibly and technically does that entail?
So our pipeline is our producers run each job. So they run each video. So after we've shot the piece of content, the producer sort of looks over that piece of content all the way through its post-production lifetime until it goes off to being posted. So that starts from the very top of whether it's briefing it to our editors, working out what the best post-production pipeline is. Is this the type of video that needs to be edited by one person? Yeah. Or is this something where, one person would be great to model it and another person would be great to animate it and a final person would be best to composite it? And there are all of these elements of the post-production pipeline, and it's the post team's job to sort of work out what is the most optimized way to get the best result out of this piece of content, and what is that lifespan of it. So we sort of like sit around for a while, we work out the best pipeline for it, and then I hand it over to the incredible team, and they sit there and they grind and they work, and we have lots of creative conversations about, a VFX shot you can work on forever and ever and ever, and you can keep correcting individual pixels until the end of time. Getting a project from 0 to 90% takes almost as long as getting a project from 90 to 100%. Yeah. So it's how far on that final 10% do you want to take it, because that's where the real time gets eaten up. So there is on all of our videos a point where we have to go, cool, we're leaving it there. And it's about having that restraint in yourself and going, cool, I know we could spend another month on this, correcting those few pixels. Get it out. Get it posted. Are
you a perfectionist?
I definitely would have said I was 6 months to a year ago, it's something that I've like had to train myself out of, because it's actually more damaging than it is a good thing, because it stops you uploading content. It slows down the progression of making more content. And it does, even though a perfectionist on paper sounds like a great thing, like you want things to be perfect, it has the complete opposite effect. So I'm really trying to train myself out of it. Naturally, because I'm a bit of like a nerd who's obsessed about details of cool things, I am naturally a perfectionist of wanting things to be, every detail to be as perfect as possible. But it is counterintuitive to the much bigger picture, which is create as much content as possible to entertain people as much as possible.
What forced that switch for you?
Physically seeing the fact that we were releasing less content, because I'd just given feedback on multiple edits saying, fix that tiny little bit that no one's ever going to notice. And by the time you post it on social media, videos get so compressed because of the quality that the apps
no one even notices.
You won't see it.
That's a really good point. Really. And I guess also having a team to keep you in check as well, right? Where they can say, no, we've got a pipeline, we need to get this out. This is the next, like that must also help. So for editors and technical creators out there, right, what are your 3 kind of top tips for making amazing content? Obviously you said about the first frame. What else is there that they can take on?
Story is everything. As great as your editing abilities might be, and as great as, that final finesse of making an incredible product, everything comes down to story. That is a big lesson, I guess, to everyone throughout the pipeline. The most important part is telling a really good and convincing story. We had a video that we posted probably about a month ago that technically was one of the most advanced videos we'd ever made. It was awesome. It was really cool. It was something I was so proud of technically. We posted it and it flopped. And the whole team, we all got together and we sat in a big meeting. We were like, why? And we deconstructed every single part of that video. And essentially what we realized is we'd spent so much time focusing on the technicals of the video and making sure it was so technically advanced what we were doing, that we actually forgot to focus on the story. And the story element was terrible. It really, really lacked. And if your narrative that's driving your audience through your video isn't strong, no one is actually staying to watch that piece of content. It doesn't matter how cool the graphics are or how cool the visuals are, what you've done technically to it, the story is everything. Yeah,
and as you said, in your days with Woody and Kleiny, you were shooting content on a phone that was getting 10 million views, probably because the story and the excitement and I guess the narrative beats were so strong, forgetting the editing. Yeah, amazing. Right, so let's jump forward to the future of I guess, this space. I'd love to get your take, and I've asked a couple of these. But firstly, so where do you, on a personal level, want to take your platforms in the future?
So because I grew up watching YouTube content and social media content, where I am sitting right now is the goal. Like the fact that I get to be an online creator is everything. This is like absolutely insane. But there are so many other avenues this allows you to sort of unlock, and so many doors that you can then do whilst creating content. And I think with everything that I go on to do, I will always be a content creator. I'd love to imagine that I'm always, no matter what ventures I go into or businesses that I end up setting up, whatever I do, I'm always creating content on the side. Like Ben Francis, great example of it, running a huge, I think £1 billion company now. Yeah. And still just creating YouTube videos for fun. He doesn't care about the AdSense. He likes creating YouTube content. Yeah. So that's how I like to see myself. But the big plans are things that I want to start shaping over the next 5 years, or 3 to 5 years, is starting to branch out into the more traditional world as a production company. So I've launched Studio B, which is our own production company, and we create branded viral content currently for brands external, as far as like without my face on it. So what I was saying for Pixar, white labeled content essentially. But the longer term vision with that, the longer term goal is to create the feature films and series that we can then sell into Netflix, or your Disney Plus, your Amazon Primes, and sort of rehashing that goal and passion of mine of being a director. I want to create like this really big series that people can be obsessed over and just love to their core, just because I know I've fallen in love, like deeply in love with so many videos and pieces of content that I've watched from Netflix and Disney, that I'd love to be able to do that to a humongous audience of people. So that's the sort of the next 3 to 5 year plan. Can we launch our own in-house series that we can then share to a much bigger space and get people really excited about a project we're working on?
Yeah, man, it's so exciting to hear about that. I think it's going to be amazing where that goes. And then secondly, where do you sort of see the future of the creator economy going? It's a bit of a bigger question, but where do you see the space going as a whole?
So this was actually a conversation I was having yesterday. I'm very excited, and I don't think it's going to take that long until the creator world is considered the traditional. Right now, when we think of traditional, our minds go to TV, film, print, like those old school things. But at what point do we go, the traditional is socials? Right now, socials is doing more views than the traditional. It's more monetizable than the traditional. At what point is this the traditional? Is this the mainstream, essentially? So I'm excited for that shift to happen. We are definitely on the road to it. The incredible thing about the social space is it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what you do for a job, what your living is. Every industry needs the social space and uses the social space because of the power it has. You know, hairdressers will have a social media presence. They don't have a TV presence or a print presence or any other space, but social media is this one thing that every single industry is using because of its superpower. So it's still got a long way to go until it's sort of like globally recognized as the number one platform for almost anything and everything, whether it's advertising, whether it's wanting to reach a wider audience and a wider pool. And as that begins to happen and starts to become the mainstream, the social economy is only going to boom. I said earlier in the interview, I think it's at 10% of what it's going to be, and it could potentially be a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, everyone needs social, but the other platforms, the traditional, no one actually needs anymore. That's a real shift that's already happened. So you could say, I mean, I would say, and probably you would, that it is there now.
Yeah.
It's probably just at the beginning of that. But yeah, you can't do without it. Can't do that. Yeah, amazing. Finally, who is a creator that you're loving at the minute?
Wow, what an incredible question. So many. I'm going to go the guys over at Corridor Crew. They are a visual effect page that are just doing absolutely incredible things. They are basically leading the way in AI research and how AI is helping visual effects artists create bigger and better videos. They just put Tom Holland inside of the Spider-Verse, like, you know, the Sony animated version of it. They put Tom Holland in that animated version using AI.
And did it look great?
It looked incredible. It was flawless. Wow. Really, really good.
Amazing. So what's their name again, sorry?
Corridor Digital.
Okay, we'll check them out. Brilliant. Well, look, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on today, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Before you go, where can people find you?
They can find me at Brandon B or on our brand new format that we've just launched called This Interview or Self Destruct. Check it out.
Amazing. Brandon, thank you so much.
Awesome. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.